Okay, so you can see that we were able to defend Musashi for only the loss of a single Yari Ashigaru unit. So I would say that that turned out to be very successful, although these jerks blockading my port and other things is definitely not helping my income situation, and because of the income situation it really limits my ability to properly defend my lands and to expand at the same time. It's kind of like I can do one or the other, but it's kind of hard to do both. I'll get rid of that blockaded port, and now I'll just go ahead and try and go retrain this navy, or I say retrain, repair this navy. Don't really have the money to do it at the time. My troops probably only need one more turn in order to fully recuperate and be ready to assault the Shogunate troops. I would say on the next turn we should be making our assault on Kyoto, and it ought to be pretty interesting. Even though I have a really good army, the Shogun's bow samurai army is very dangerous because you can't just rush them with Ashigaru, you know, like you could a normal bow army, and just as soon as you get them in melee they're dead, because the highly experienced army of the Shogun, however it gets experience, I don't really know because they don't ever fight anything. In any case, they'll stand and fight very well against melee units, including sword infantry, and they'll rip you up from a distance. So the Shogun's got a pretty nice combination. However, you do pay the price for them being bow units, and they are not as good at melee as a sword unit. And so if you do catch them right, or catch them with some cavalry, preferably some Yari cavalry would be the best, or katana cavalry. I don't have either though. And yeah, that's pretty much the best way to go, I think. So I'm just trying to make sure the Saito stay happy with me. Looks like they're still fine, at least for the time being. And now I'm just going to go ahead and end this turn and get ready so that we can go ahead and attack the Shogun. It would have been nice to try and assassinate him with a ninja and stuff, but I think that any of you can understand that things definitely didn't go well in this campaign, at least the way I planned. So, you know, I'll try and do one of the crazy ninja assassinations or something in the next campaign. I'll be hopefully approaching things a little bit smarter, because every time I play one of these, you know, obviously I should be learning from my mistakes. And the Tokugawa campaign, though, was supposed to be harder than the Shimazu campaign, and I can definitely say that it was. Just the income situation was a constant nuisance, whereas it was easier to get access to income when you're starting on the island of Kyushu, where you're close to all those trade routes. But definitely an issue when you don't have access to those trade routes. So there's always something going on over here in Musashi. Just constant nuisance attacks from these other clans, and I can't afford two separate armies back here, so I only have one, and all I can really do is defend or lose my territory, which is highly annoying, but it's definitely just the way things are going to go. I don't think it would have been that hard to go conquer these guys who keep attacking me, but I never really get an opportunity. So I'm just going to keep my castle safe there at Ito, and I think it is time that we go get on with business here. I was thinking about putting this ninja in with my army, but then I realized it's only good just kind of like for keeping me safe from other ninjas, and I think it gives me like no, I think the Matsuke keeps you safe from other ninjas. The ninja acts as a scout, gives you like more movement range and stuff like that. So it would actually be not a bad idea if you had an army that was going to go do a whole bunch of work and you knew it. I think I might try in the next campaign to like put a Matsuke, a monk. Well, of course the Ikoiki won't have Matsukes, but put like a ninja and a monk both in the army, and it would definitely give you some morale benefits and movement benefits, stuff like that. It's definitely not a bad idea to have those agents in your army. So the Shogun, there's its bow samurai army basically. They've got very little melee infantry, which is good, because if they had all those bow samurai and a bunch of kit melee infantry, then by gosh, I would be in trouble. But my Manganels will kind of, they're not going to win the battle for me, but they will definitely put some serious hurt on the Shogunate, and I'm going to go ahead and just let these guys come out against me on the open plain, just because I think it will turn out better. Whether or not I'm right could be up to question, but I'm pretty sure those experienced bow samurai up on the walls with me having to be down in that moat and everything would just end up ruining me. If this were a campaign where I got to have like another army to help me assault the Shogun, then I'd be more than happy to siege it. That way, in case I lost, I just had another army sitting there ready to go. Looks like the Uesegi are back. Their new daimyo must be out trying to get some revenge for the death of Kenshin. But we'll see whether or not they will be successful in any such endeavor. And here comes the Shogun, not to disappoint. So hope you are ready for a nice epic battle against the Shogun. Decided that I'd let you see the general speech for this kind of momentous occasion.
お主らの大名であってよかったと改めて思う。いざ、上りを高く掲げ、我らの進軍を敵に知らせるのじゃ。敵にとってはここが正念場。しくじれば歴史にも残らん。いつの日か歌人が悲しい歌にして読んでくれることじゃろう。おそらく。かつては天下国家を左右する地位にあった足利殿だが、今は違う。避けがたい運命にひれ伏して潔く自害するがよい。我が陣で目立つは槍部隊の不足。今は敵に気づかれぬことを祈るしか打つ手はないわ。天下一の武士であるお主らを配下にもってわしは幸せに思うぞ。役目を全うし、運を天に任せよう。
Alright, I think we're properly inspired to fight there. It's actually a pretty good general speech for once. So I like all this flat land here. That'll just make my Manganels more devastating. So I'm going to go ahead and take them and place them at the very back of my army. And then I'll just put my infantry right in front of them. And then my bows right in front of that. So you'll see that I'll be able to fire on the Shogunate troops from quite a long range. Spread my katana samurai out here. That way they're not too overly bunched up to make a pleasing target for the enemy bow samurai. I should probably put them in loose formation, except that I'm worried that my micro will get screwed up and I'll end up losing the battle by having them in loose formation, because they're definitely not as good in a melee when they're in loose. And then I'm going to grab that spear unit and just put them back here somewhere. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get the battle started here. Just putting my archers in a defensive stance so they don't chase anybody off or get too engaged in melee if I'm trying to pull them out. There's the Shogunate troops. And here in just a moment we'll go into fast forward just so that we can get them into range of my Manganels, and then I'll try and do some, I'll actually be showing you some first person views from the Manganels. It'll be pretty neat. Hopefully you enjoy it. So you can see the troops of the Shogun inching closer to my firing range. And it's always a good idea too, if you get the opportunity to, and here I'm just grouping my units so that I can change their formation, or I guess the direction they're facing easily. You can use these arrows down here to change all your troops the way they're facing. As long as they're grouped, they'll all move as a group like that. And so that's one of the things that unit groupings are useful for. Alright, my Manganels are starting to fire. So let's select one here and do first person view. I've never done a first person view on these. So here we are. Alright, so there's the little cool firebomb thing. You can see that this one's going to end up landing well short. But maybe we'll just watch a couple more here and wait and see if we can get one that actually makes its impact. I think that would be pretty cool. So you can see the little samurai dude back there reloading the bomb. Then he's going to give the okay here to fire. Then off we go. So this one is definitely looking better. Heading right towards the general unit. Ah, just overshot it. Yeah, but look, it hit that dead corpse. That was hilarious. We actually just firebombed an already dead man. That would have been sweet if it would have hit that general unit, because that's what I'm targeting. But the further away an army is, the less accurate your Manganels are. But as they gain experience, you know, they'll be more accurate. So here we go. Let's take a third ride here. See if we actually get any of the Shogunate troops. Oh, maybe short. Oh yeah, there we go. We managed to take down some of them. So anyway, there's what it looks like doing the first person view on the Manganels. You just push insert to do the first person view. And I'm going to just make sure my Manganels are targeted on the general there. And I can actually, if I want, I'm going to use a couple of inspires on my Manganels here to try and make them more accurate and to reload faster, so that they will be causing more damage to the troops of the Shogun. Alright. So you can see though that the computer's going to start running away. They'll start running around like mad whenever you start shooting at their generals' units. And you know, to be honest, it's a pretty good counter to the Manganels. If you're running around, it definitely makes them less accurate. So that's why the AI does it. And what's funny though is that you can tell the AI knows they're being targeted even before you fire, because sometimes you'll target an enemy general with your Manganels, and the general will start running around before a shot's ever fired. So you know, it's a little bit cheap. But, oh well. It's probably hard to program every little nuance of the AI to be the way that people like it, so I'm not going to expect that to happen. I am causing some damage to some of those units. These bow samurai, though, are going to absolutely eat my lunch when it comes to an extended bow fight. So I am going to run my infantry forward because I'm being assaulted. In fact, the bow samurai are already firing at my infantry. It's another AI hallmark. They'll just ignore your bows and just go straight for your infantry, and you can see that they're absolutely massacring my swords. So I'm going to get up here and engage their troops as quickly as I can. I don't want to just run out individually towards those bows though, because individual units of katana samurai will just get chewed up on the way in, and then they'll get routed by those bow samurai. So even though I'm going to take some casualties doing it, I'm going to try and keep my distance, at least individually, from the bow samurai units, because like I said, I don't want them to get too beat up. I am going to rally my troops though. That'll keep their morale up higher. Now that these units overall can go out here, I will go assault the bow samurai and try and get some of these guys to quit firing, because the fewer units that are firing, the better. But you can see that my sword units are down to like half strength or under just by the time they even get out there. And then I think my Manganels are actually hitting my own men. So I'm trying to retarget them, but they're not doing a good job of actually listening to me, which has been a little bit of a frustration. But that's one of the risks that you run whenever you bring siege weapons. The Manganels really didn't do a whole bunch for me in this battle, but they did get some kills, so that was good. Right there's another short fire. So at this point I'm just trying to tell the Manganels not to fire at all, but unbelievably they're going to continue to fire. Because apparently, I guess when I click that attack order, they just keep firing until I push the halt, which I end up doing here in a minute. I don't want to end up killing my general with a short fire from one of my own siege weapons. That'd be pretty bad. So there we go. I go ahead and halt all the fire from my Manganels. They're almost out of ammo anyway. So it's a bloody fight, and the Shogunate troops definitely put up a good fight, but here I said this is where their failing is. If you play it right, eventually their bow units will just be forced to run, and then it's just a matter of hunting them down and destroying them. So their army is definitely tough from range, but if you attack them appropriately, you can put a stop to the effectiveness of those bow samurai, but definitely not something that you would want to take on with an Ashigaru army, because those bow samurai would absolutely ruin an Ashigaru army. And again, Naginata samurai are very good for fighting against the Shogun and in other various siege battles, just because of their protection against the missile fire due to all the armor that they have. Naginata samurai, I think, have like probably the highest armor level except for a katana hero. So definitely a troop to be reckoned with. So here we go. I'm just mopping up the last bits of these bow samurai. I'm going to tell my archers to quit firing just because I don't want to be killing my own men too badly. I do have my generals running around mopping up different units around here just so that there'll be fewer of these guys whenever it comes time to actually take Kyoto, because, you know, if half of their army escapes and then half my army is dead, it's definitely not going to be any better for me really whenever I go to take Kyoto. So hope you enjoyed this fight. I'll see you back on the campaign map. Alright, so I did lose one katana unit, but the rest of my army remains intact. So we should be able to pretty easily capture Kyoto. And of course, my general has leveled up. And since my daimyo is leading that army with Tokugawa Ieyasu as well, then my daimyo's honor should be increasing. So I got some warring going on up there in between my vassal and some other clans. I'm pretty sure that bad trait for the diplomacy has worn off at this point, so that's good. And here I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my general. Or I do sometime. I don't remember if it's right this instant or not. Yeah, you can see his honor is up to 3 honor now instead of what it was. And I mean, generally my daimyos have higher honor than that. I've just forgot to use this guy in a bunch of battles. Because once you do that, it generally drives their honor up and makes all the other generals more loyal. So I'm giving him the stand and fight ability here, just in case it's ever needed. We'll go ahead and take Kyoto. I don't really want them to be able to retrain their troops or to maybe gain access to all the garrison troops that are involved with that city. So we'll just go ahead and auto-resolve this battle. I don't really want to spend all the time to record, you know, what would be a pretty easy siege for me there. So there we go. I'm now in control of Kyoto. Only lost a couple Ashigaru units, so nothing big there. So now if I can hold Kyoto for 4 seasons, then I will end up being the Shogun. I'm in control of all of the required provinces now, but I still need to take control of several more provinces in general. You can see that my income is definitely up higher now, so taking Kyoto is going to be helpful for more than one reason. Always helpful towards our victory conditions, and just also helpful for our income at this point. But the campaign's not over yet. We did capture it. I'm not quite the Shogun yet. Again, I have 4 seasons I've got to hold it for before you become the Shogun. And I also have to capture, I think, somewhere between 3 to 5 more provinces. And you never know what can happen in just a few turns when it comes to these realm divide situations. So it can get ugly fast. And I've got to try and keep defending Edo back here, because I'm pretty sure it's one of the required provinces. And I have armies assailing me there all the time, and one of those clans is always bringing a lot of katana samurai, so a very dangerous situation indeed. So it looks like the Kiso captured North Shinano, and now that the diplomatic relations are back, they're on my side rather than against me. So those regions are going to be counting towards my victory condition. It's funny because the Kiso were allied with the Murakami, and then they end up going up there and destroying the Urakami for me. But that doesn't mean that the Uesegi aren't back, so there they are. I guess they're trying to come back and get some revenge, but they're probably only going to find one of my spears waiting to dispatch them. You can see all kinds of action going on in the campaign map. It just gets nuts. And things never are simple, generally, at this point in the game. I swear the Ashina have fleets all over the place. Like little dinker fleets. Alright, so I finally finished the gunpowder mastery so late in the campaign that it may not end up doing a lot. But at least I can go ahead and start training matchlock Ashigaru at all my castles, and if I ever build a powder market, which I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't in this campaign, then I could build matchlock samurai. But in another campaign I'll try and get plenty of matchlock samurai, because those guys kick butt on the campaign.